chief guest, honored guests otherwise, my professor, Dr. Billu, my mentor, Surya Anwar, who are not both in the room right now, and other friends, board of directors, and colleagues. Assalamu alaikum. The topic given to me is role of diaspora in development. People who originated from Pakistan and are now living in different parts of the world or are scattered in the world are called diaspora. Why do people migrate and become diasporas? Migration is an integral part of human history. As soon as the modern human being started, we started migrating, mostly in search of food. You can see my ancestors' migration from the first woman who ever lived in East Africa. In fact, right now, the linguists believe that the first two sentences ever spoken must have been Kun Mina Mana and Kun Mina Aqua, which means who wants to stay here and who wants to go across the water. So these two sentences are just assumed to be the first sentences. I don't know African language, but this is what I've read in the book called Mapping the Human History by Steve Olson. So, also if you look at the Islamic history, our calendar begins with the migration, with the hijrah of Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from Makkah to Medina. And it was given such an importance that the calendar started from that. The migration is not only an integral part of human race, but also the instinct of the animals. And all of us have witnessed the birds migrating in winter times to south areas, and whales doing the same, and salmons going back to lay their eggs at the place of their birth. Just like animals, human beings also do not ever cut their ties to the place of origin. Like anywhere the Pakistanis are, they think of Pakistan. Anywhere Nigerians are, they think of Nigeria. So they have just done the same thing also. And just like animals, they would really go back, visit their place of origin, and do different things to make the development easier. Humans migrate in pursuit of higher education, to get better standard of living, to achieve some skills, or sometimes for their children's education and better opportunities. The role of diaspora in developmental strategies, poverty alleviation, and economic development is increasingly recognized by many people all over the world. There are a number of many ways that the diaspora takes part in these developments. Some of them are sending money to their relatives, to their families, and the funds are increasingly recognized as an important source of external capital for the developing countries. In many cases, the amount of these remittances exceeds the amount received by the countries in foreign aid from overseas. Some of the diaspora become involved in development efforts through their own individual efforts. For example, investing in community projects like local hospitals and schools, etc. Some of them become a source of skill and expertise when they return to their homeland, and this is referred to as circular migration. Beyond this, the transnational connections facilitated by the diaspora opens up new possibilities for development. And the two very important examples of the major role played by the diaspora in development of their countries in recent years are China and India. We see that between 1985 and 2000, 70% of the foreign direct investment came from the Chinese diaspora. And this was the major factor contributing to the recent years of progressive... Please don't change the slides yet. I'm sorry. And this was the major factor fueling the rapid growth in Chinese economy. Just like China, India also did the same thing. The Indian diaspora was the key to the growth of country's information technology sector. In 1990s, Indian diaspora members, some of them held higher positions in US companies, were instrumental in lobbying for outsourcing of IT contracts to India. However, both of these diasporas were fortunate enough to have favorable conditions both at home as well as with the host countries, and this is difficult to replicate. Indeed, these large-scale growths could not have been achieved without the cooperation of the host country. How about Pakistan? There are 7 to 8 million Pakistanis living outside Pakistan, and this makes about 4% of the population. Out of these, if you see, the most people live in three major diasporas are Saudi Arabia, United Kingdom, United Arab Emirates, and USA. USA, we have about 250,000 registered Pakistanis, and according to Adil Najam, as Azhar had said in his book, has written about 500,000 people live in America from Pakistan. I will be talking mostly about Pakistani Americans because initially when people started migrating from Pakistan abroad for higher education or for getting skills training or getting better standards of living, they went with the idea that they will come back, and they considered themselves as temporary residents. But recently the people have been going to Canada and States and have not been coming back in large numbers. So once they go and settle in a place, these diasporas have now become the citizens or permanent residents of United States of America and Canada. There are about, as I said, 500,000 people, Pakistani people living in America, and quarter of them are younger generation, like children of the initial immigrants. What are they doing for Pakistan over there? Just like any other diaspora, they are doing the same things. They come and visit their cities, villages, or whatever they have their homes in, and they also send money to their relatives and their families to make their lives better. Individual efforts have been the most, about 52% people do this kind of things. But recent years, in the last decade, there have been emergence of a lot of new initiatives in shape of organizations and associations and foundations that are working for development in Pakistan. Some examples I'll give you. Some are professional associations like APNA and its sub-branches like Imkana, Dugana and others. And some are just purely charitable organizations, and the premier example again given by Adil Najam. And these organizations are doing work, either they're supporting the philanthropic work being done in Pakistan, for example SOS, ED, LRBT, SIUT, etc., or the other organizations that are raising funds in America but have their own initiative, and they organize their own sort of developmental things in Pakistan. And one of the examples is DIL, Development in Literacy, that are doing work in Pakistan and raising funds in America. And the other one is Human Development Foundation. I haven't found many other countries having such organizations that are working on their own initiatives except these two in United States of America. So I will be talking a little bit about HDF because, as you all know, I volunteer for that organization. I can have the next slide. I want to go quickly because I think I was supposed to be talking in the first session, and this has been said basically. Next slide. This also, Azhar showed you that Pakistan ranks very low in Human Development Index, and that's why HDF started working. The main mission of HDF, next slide please. The main mission of HDF is to facilitate a non-political movement for positive social change and community empowerment through mass literacy, enhanced system of education, universal primary health care, and grassroots economic development. Next slide please.